Hello, MGTOW. Hello, men. This is Howard Dare. Thanks for stopping by. So, I want to talk about why women attack men, because I don't think a lot of men understand what's going on nowadays. They think that the attacks that feminists, social justice warriors, leftists put forth are in fact legitimate attacks and concerns, that need to be addressed, or like the man has actually done something wrong. And I believe this causes great frustration, especially in the young men, who are trying to understand and be sympathetic towards women and not understanding why they can just never really solve that problem, why they've always got something to complain about, why the man is just not good enough, even still. So, I'm not talking about all attacks, and I'm not talking about all hostility from women towards men. I'm talking about the social attacks on men and how they're portrayed in media, politics, and in culture, as opposed to, why you might be in an argument with one particular woman. Now, I've covered this from a lot of angles. I've covered this from an evolutionary biology point of view. I've covered this from a philosophical point of view. And I want to cover it now from a social, political point of view. And the main aspect that I think people need to understand, men need to understand concerning this, is cultural Marxism. And I'm no expert on this. Our understanding of the situation that we're currently in evolves. So in order to get this right, we're going to go to Wikipedia, the source of all knowledge, and we are going to consult with the Wikipedia Oracle. So here's what the Oracle of Wikipedia has to say concerning cultural Marxism. Frankfurt School. Doesn't even say cultural Marxism, it just says Frankfurt School. Okay, the Frankfurt School is a school of social theory and philosophy associated in part with the Institute for Social Research at the Goethe University, Frankfurt. Founded during the interwar period, the school consists of dissidents who felt at home in none of the existent capitalist, fascist, or communist systems of the time. Many of these theorists believe that traditional theory could not adequately explain turbulent and unexpected development of capitalistic societies in the 20th century. Critical of both capitalism and Soviet socialism, the writings pointed to the possibility of an alternate path to social development. Although sometimes loosely affiliated, Frankfurt School theorists spoke with a common paradigm in mind. They shared the Marxist Hegelian premises that were preoccupied with similar questions. Wow, they're saying this in a really vague, neutral kind of way, all right? What these men did, and these were smart, philosophers, is they were critical and found fault with all of the existing systems. And it wasn't just that they weren't happy with the existing systems and they wanted to institute a system of their own. No, they found fault with the systems to bring those systems down. Okay? They did not care about replacing them. They did not care about justice, about what was right or what was wrong. They cared about tearing down the existing structure. They developed critical theory. And I don't mean to be simplistic here because I've gotten this wrong before. I'm thinking about the theory of relativity. Critical theory is, in fact, critical of everything. That is the means by which it creates social change. That is the means by which it tears down the existing power structure. So what it's suggesting is that anybody in any sort of power or authority is in fact an oppressor. And anybody who is not in authority, in a position controlling the government, are in fact the oppressed by the oppressor. So, if you're healthy and having a good life, you are an oppressor. And if you're unhealthy and having a bad life, you are the oppressed. And the oppressors need to give you things. It's not just give you things. You have to tear them down. That's it. You have to be critical of everything. How they tie their shoes, what they say when they get up in the morning, what they say when they go to sleep at night. And it is communism brought over from World War II over to Western democracies, representative democracies, where it takes up until the 60s before it starts to gain any speed. And they know that they can't turn the working class in America against the moneyed class in America because it's a capitalistic society and people want to get ahead. And, this is the message of freedom. So the people, the moderately intelligent people recognize what's going on. They want to work hard and get ahead. So they realize that they can't tear that down. So they come at it from subgroups, civil rights. Now, I'm not suggesting that there weren't any civil rights issues, okay? But that's not the reason that cultural Marxism and critical theory go into it. They go into it to tear down the existing power structure, to find fault, not to solve the individual problems. I hope you can understand that. So that when a group of concerned citizens step forward and say, we want to address these civil rights issues, that's a legitimate concern. That's the citizens, exercising their freedom of speech. But the people who set that up, they don't necessarily care about the justice or the injustice of this particular issue. They care about indicting the existing capitalistic system. So the whole movement of not the whole movement, but large portions of the movements within the 60s, civil rights, women's rights, free love, anti-war, a lot of it, while it was concerned with individual particular social issues, the driving force behind it was a hatred and wanting to destroy the existing authority, what was perceived to be, the oppressive power structure, this authoritative, patriarchal power structure, right? So if you have a good father who's built up a whole empire, not just a home, but a whole city, a whole town, a whole state, defending it, putting the laws in place, making it possible for people to survive and live through their hard work within that setting. What, is that an oppressive patriarchy? I mean, it certainly is, right? It certainly is a patriarchy. So if your father says, you can live in this house, but you have to work and you have to obey certain rules where you take care of yourself, not, like I'm going to exploit you, is that a patriarchy that needs to be ripped down? Well, apparently it is. So understand that whatever the situation is, the teacher, like you go to school, well, the teacher is the oppressor and the students are the oppressed. Right? If you want to do something, doesn't matter what it is, okay? Those who say you can't do it are the oppressors. And those who are not allowed to do whatever they want, whenever they feel like it, are the oppressed. So that's the mindset behind feminist attacks. That's the mindset behind the media's attack on masculine virtues and values. And the individual man who's actually involved in it, he doesn't realize that he's been conned into attacking his own people, his own gender, his own nature, because that's really what it is. Imagine a bird being shamed for being able to fly by everything that can't fly. And imagine the bird being so ashamed that it rips off its own wings. Well, that's what men are doing when they give up their freedom, and they give up their intellect, and they go on their feelings. So the point I'm really trying to make here is that feminists, globalists, socialists, leftists, they're going to attack individual freedom, nonstop, no reason. They're going to pretend that there's this particular issue which has to be dealt with. For example, transsexuals, going to have to need the option to go into either bathroom, right? That's just the way it has to be, okay? And the individuals involved in this might actually think that they're arguing over transgender rights, but they're not. They are being motivated they are being spurred on by a larger system whose intent is merely to tear down a free system. That's why. That's part of the reason why women attack. That's why the media attacks men. That's why the institutions within our representative democracy hold these communistic leftist views, constantly persist in them, never make any progress in solving problems, and they use it to just constantly beat down those who represent freedom and individual character. And a young social justice warrior, right, a young woman, a young person from the oppressed classes, because that's how they're perceived, that's what they're told. They don't know that cultural Marxism just hates the existing system. They don't understand that critical theory is just finding fault with others. I may have oversimplified that one a little bit, I'm going to have to look into this one a little more. But this is one of the aspects that's driving this anti-male, anti-freedom, anti-responsibility, anti-capitalistic sentiment that goes right even throughout, our media. So the movies step forward. Understand that whatever is the existing power structure, okay, whatever is the existing paradigm, that's what they're tearing down. So if healthy men are getting together with healthy women and building healthy families so that they can build a healthy society, okay, that's going to be represented as oppressive, as unacceptable. And therefore, unhealthy men getting together with unhealthy women or even other unhealthy men, transsexualism is going to be promoted as, the right way and the good way. Do you understand? If Christianity is the main religion in the society, it will be represented as oppressive. And another religion, for example, Islam, would be represented as, being oppressed and the alternative to push forward. If heterosexualism is the norm, then it will be presented as oppressive and evil, and its alternative will be presented as ethical and ideal. That's all. That's what's going on. So the individual woman, the individual feminist who is attacking men, she doesn't have to look at the individual issue. Whatever the issue is, if it favors men, if it favors the existing power structure, it's oppressive. So that's why, an 8-year-old boy is part of, this 1,000-year-old patriarchy, and he's, potentially Hitler. And that's why an 8-year-old, girl or someone who could be represented as oppressed in a minority class, that's why no matter what they do, they can't be racist. Okay, so I hope you're trying to, get that picture that whatever the perceived ruling class does, whatever, it's oppressive and it's wrong. And whatever the non-ruling class does, it's considered ethical and moral and the right thing to do and pursue. And that is why all decent values, all decent ideals, all decent practices which built Western civilization are attacked and torn down. That's not the only reason, but that's one of the reasons that's driving this type of behavior. Okay, so I hope that helps. I hope that, gives some insight as to why men and decent ideals are under attack. And let me know what you think about it in the comments section below. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, donate, and join me again, Howard Dare, as I plan to have more content for you. Thank you, MGTOW.